Radio you can touch.
Oh, gasp, I'm so excited.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show, starring Bob Lutz.
As a high Bob Lutz, higher than a kite, my answer would be, no, man, I can't do it. Hey, man, I'm high.
Oh, shocking. Monstrous.
Jeff Lutz.
Please, someone, at Bob Lutz, tell him how misguided he is.
97.5 and 1240 KFH.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Stand by for action.
Welcome back, everyone. Hour number 2, the Bob and Jeff Show, KFH Radio. It's Bob Lutz, Jeff Lutz, and Max Bauer here to produce and engineer the show. 869-1240, the IHOP hotline. What'd you have to say there? Now, you seem to be interrupting me at every turn.
What are you talking about? I did not say anything. I literally said nothing.
I'm irritable because I'm getting tired.
Well, I didn't say anything, so you're hearing things.
So at this hour of the day, Max and I were talking during the break. When you're in your 60s, this is a time where you get a little bit tired.
Well, I'm tired most of the time, so I feel you.
So then you try to regroup and you try to figure out how you can find some energy to get you through the second half of a radio show.
Well, let's do it, man. Come on.
So the energy I'm going to point out, I'm going to talk about college basketball for a minute.
All right, have at it.
Last night we were flipping through trying to find games, and we ended up on Fox Sports 1, and we watched Purdue beat Xavier. And your thought about Purdue, they may not win the national championship.
Right.
But they are certainly a team capable of doing so.
Of course. They have been. They
Zach
have been.
Edey is unstoppable. You can't, there's nothing you can do.
Well, unless you're Lehigh or whoever it was that beat him.
No, Xavier.
No, I'm talking about in the tournament last year.
He is so big and so adept on his feet that you can't guard him.
Fairleigh Dickinson.
I was impressed with Purdue last night.
Yeah, he is pretty good, right? He was a National Player of the Year last year, Wooden Award winner. He'll probably be that again this year, unless someone comes and takes it from him. He's certainly not going to do anything.
I enjoy watching Purdue
to lose it.
They got good shooters. They're well coached. I can't speak to last year.
Well, you can speak to every year.
No, I'm not going to speak to the every year.
They lost the year before as a higher seed.
Because only one team wins.
To a 15 seed. They lost to a 16 seed last year. Yeah.
I like Purdue.
Okay, great. I'm not stopping you.
You want to know something? I know you love to hear my history. You love to hear about my
Gene
past.
Katie.
No. Farther back than that. Are you kidding me?
God.
I know you love to hear this
John
stuff.
Wooden?
No, way back. Yeah, in that era. Who's
Please
the greatest Purdue player of all time?
Probably Glenn Robinson.
Wrong.
No, right.
Max probably knows.
Again,
Rick Mount.
They've played basketball since Rick Mount.
Rick Mount is the greatest Boilermaker of all time.
No, he's not.
Look him up.
The big dog is.
Look him up. That's all I ask.
Oh, God.
And last night I was reminded.
You know what Glenn Robinson would do to Rick Mount?
I was reminded of the great Rick Mount.
On a basketball court? He would crush him into dust.
As I watched Purdue play and some of their shooters, I said to my wife, they remind me of Rick Mount.
I hope you didn't say that.
And she was on a phone call at the time, and I'm not sure what her reaction was. But this is the hometown kid. Came out of Lebanon, Indiana. Went on to become an ABA champion. 2-time first-team All-American at Purdue. And for you to make light of Rick Mount is just absolutely silly.
I prefer the big dog.
But now that you've looked up Rick Mount.
Not really. No, not really. Glenn Robinson had 1,700 points in 2 seasons.
In 1968, you know what? Rick Mount scored that in practice.
No, he didn't. They were pretty similar.
In 1968-69, Rick Mount averaged 33.3 points per game. The next year,
right. The other
He
guy
had two 53-point games and a 61-point game and averaged 35.4 points. He finished his career at Purdue with 2,323 points in 3 seasons.
Yeah, that's good. In 1930, I mean, that's really good. In modern basketball, Glenn Robinson.
The ageism that comes out of your mouth could be criminal. In fact, I'm going to ask some friends of mine from the KBI
The what?
to listen.
The what?
The KBI.
What?
The Kansas Bureau of Investigation.
Okay, I'm sure their time is.
I want to know if some of the things you say to and about me could be criminal.
Well, go have at it. Look, find them, and do it. But Glenn Robinson is the best Purdue
No,
player.
he's not. And again, this is
He averaged
one where you
30.3 points in like a time where basketball was being played.
Glenn Robinson's a great player. He's the second best player. Now, Zach Edey might have surpassed both of them
I don't know, maybe.
as the greatest Boilermaker. But what I'm trying to do is take you back in time, which I know you love, to a time when I was just infatuated by the college basketball game.
Oh, I know.
And you had the likes of Rick Mount at Purdue. You had Pete Maravich at LSU. You had Calvin Murphy at Niagara. And they were all scoring points by the bushel basket.
Sure. No argument against that. Boring, but no argument.
Well, I don't understand why that doesn't
I just
capture you a little more.
I don't know. It just doesn't capture me. It just doesn't capture me. I'm not saying guys weren't okay athletes in 1969, 70, but
See,
they
this is
weren't- they weren't the big dog.
This is where the advantage would potentially be kicking you off the show and bringing somebody in closer to my age.
Oh my God, that would be so bad.
That, to me, would be potentially, now, I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm saying the potential improvement of the show is something to think about. So that when I do hearken back, I
But
don't get
you
this.
You don't respect, just as much as you think I don't respect your era, you don't respect anything that came after your era.
Ask me about a team, and I'll tell you their greatest player.
Michigan.
And I'll bet you I get some of these guys. I'll bet you I name some more current players.
Michigan,
Cassie Russell.
Chris Webber.
Hands down.
Chris Webber, yeah, I agree.
Cassie Russell.
Of course.
Next school.
Ohio State.
Jerry Lucas.
Yeah, of course.
Who do you expect me to say?
Texas.
Texas?
Yeah.
Well, that's a tough one.
Kevin Durant.
Well, yeah. Kevin Durant.
Even though he was only there a year.
Right. So, see? There's a modern
Colorado.
Cliff Mealy from back in
Chauncey Billups.
No, look up Cliff Mealy.
Do I have
You don't
to?
have any point of reference.
I don't think Cliff Mealy even played.
Cliff Mealy was an All-American
He's
at
not-
the University of
He's
Colorado.
not even listed
for the great
on
Sox
college.
Walseth.
He's not even listed on the college basketball reference site.
For the great Sox Walseth.
Oh my God!
See,
This is embarrassing for you, isn't it?
See, here we go again.
This can't be something that you take pride in.
Next school.
Chauncey Billups, by the way, is the best Colorado player.
Look up Cliff Mealy.
I did. He's not even on here.
You probably don't even know how to spell his name.
Does anyone?
Well, it's.
Are you sure that's a real person?
Yes, of course I am.
I have Rondell Mealy. I don't have a Cliff Mealy.
Well, Cliff Mealy played at Colorado from 68 to 71. He remains the Colorado career leader in points and rebounds per game. All Big Eight 3 times, first-team All-American as a senior out of Chicago, Illinois. There you go.
Great.
All right,
You know-
next school.
You know, Chauncey Billups went to the NBA, right?
Next,
because
so
he
did
was
Cliff Mealy.
because he was that good. Did he?
I'm telling you, the greatest player in the history of the university. Next player, next school.
Washington.
Washington?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I don't think I know.
Brandon Roy.
No, there's got to be somebody from the 60s or 70s.
Right. There just
that's
has
better. Who next school?
to be. You'd probably say somebody like James Edwards
No.
or Steve Hawes.
No. I like Steve Hobbs, but no.
Hawes, not Hobbs.
Uh,
You'd probably say George Irving.
no, I don't like next school.
You'd probably say
Give me the next school.
you don't like James Edwards. Nebraska.
That's a tough one.
Not really.
They haven't had very many good players. I'd probably say, boy, Eric Piatkowski.
Tyronn Lue, probably.
No, he's not even in the top.
He's not?
No. Stu Lance. I'd have to give that some thought.
I don't know. Grant Simmons, did you like him back in the 60s? Stu Lance certainly was there.
Okay, keep going.
I don't know. What do you want me to? Missouri.
I would actually say
Missouri.
I would say Eric Piatkowski.
Yeah, that's sad. Missouri.
Missouri's a tough one too. Gosh, who's the guy? You could make a case for John Sundvold or Steve Stepanovic.
What about Anthony Peeler?
Anthony Peeler would probably be my choice.
What about Larry Drew? That might be.
No. And Larry Drew is I love Larry Drew.
What about Keon Dooling?
No. Stepanovic and Sundvold were
Who?
outstanding.
I think you're just making up names. Stepanovic is good.
I gotta believe
Thomas
that
top.
if you don't know Steve Stepanovic or John Sundvold, you're borderline unqualified to have a microphone put in front of you.
What about Kim English?
No, he's not as good as those guys.
Fine. What about the University of Miami?
Rick Barry.
Duh.
Sorry, but he's from the 60s. I apologize.
Well, at least you have a guy who accomplished something in life
Yeah.
as your best guy out of Miami.
So there you go. If you ask me, University of Louisville,
What about Maryland?
Lynn Bias.
Yeah, probably. Joe Smith would be second.
If you ask me Louisville, now that's a tough one, right?
Sure.
That's a hard one. You could certainly say Darrell Griffith. You could say Wesley Unseld. And you'd probably be on
Why do you call
board.
him Wesley?
You'd probably be on board with either of those guys. I'd probably pick Wesley.
Well, that's a good one.
Again, from the 60s.
Junior Bridgman?
Not as good as Unseld.
Nobody's as good as Wes Unseld.
And if you ask me, the University of Houston, undoubtedly Elvin Hayes. Even over
Elijah.
Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon.
Georgetown is Ewing.
Yeah. Of course.
What
it's
about
you.
North Carolina? Michael Jordan.
Well,
what
yes.
about
North
Duke?
Carolina State? David Thompson from the 70s.
Okay, what about
Kentucky? Tough one.
you'd probably say Issel because
Dan Issel would certainly be in the argument.
he's not even close. Anthony Davis would be
Please.
the greatest player.
Anthony
at Kentucky.
Davis. He's the greatest player to sit out half the season.
Well, maybe so, but he was also the greatest player at Kentucky.
Come on. Get real. We have a caller, Max. Who do we have? I'm rushing Max.
Jim,
along.
88.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah. I thought you guys were talking football, but did you switch the basketball on me, or was I misinformed?
Yeah, we did what we want to do here, Jim. We talk about a lot of different things.
Well, what about our local hero here?
No idea who you're talking about.
Bill Parcells, Wichita State. Probably the greatest.
How could I
linebacker.
not known that?
Huh?
How are we going from our conversation to Bill Parcells?
Well, I jumped the track. I thought you were on football, and maybe you jumped the track. And
We've been talking basketball for 20 minutes.
But even if we were talking about football, how is Bill Parcells relevant to any of those conversations?
You, by the way.
Well, we realized that I jumped the track, but he mentioned Wesley Unseld. I knew that was basketball. Yeah. I said, I better quit calling. I'll get chewed out.
Well, there you go. Rick Mount might have been an indicator as well. But anyway, yeah, we love Bill Parcells, but there's absolutely nothing to say about him right now.
There's nothing to say good. Huh? All right, bye.
We'll take a break. We got a game coming up next.
Sure.
The Bob and Jeff Show, KFH.
Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts today and we'll install them for free. See better and drive safer with O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
All right. Our friend Bruce, I think he's your friend as well, on Twitter says about Rick Mount, greatest shooter I've ever seen, plus no three-point line. I'm not one to think today's players aren't better, but it's relative to the times.
All right. Well, Rick Mount, then. Cool name.
All right. It is, Max. Time to play the game here on the show. Maybe the only shooter better was Bill Parcells.
Maybe.
Now I feel guilty about poor Jim.
Why?
I don't know. It just you know me. I love Jim, but I can get agitated when we're just throwing something out of left field and I don't know exactly what to do with it.
I get it.
You do that to me all the time.
Never. I stay right on topic.
All right, what's the game?
You like showing off your knowledge. So I'm just going to ask you the professional.
What do you mean I like showing off my knowledge?
You like telling me where guys are from and stuff and about Kansas. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that. I'm going to name the professional athlete. You're going to tell me what city or town in Kansas he was born in.
Well, I'll kill this.
Some of these guys, I don't know if they spent a lot of time in Kansas.
I don't either, but
I know a lot of them did.
We'll see what we can do.
What about the great Mitch Webster?
Mitch Webster's from Larned.
Yes, that's correct.
Former Dodger.
Former
Mitch
Cleveland
Webster.
Indian.
Yeah, but he made his biggest impact.
He didn't really make a
with the Expos and the Dodgers.
Did you know he's at Riverfront Stadium quite often? He's a scout. I believe it's for the Dodgers, but don't quote me.
Well, I'd love to meet. I've met Mitch. I'd love to go talk to him.
Yeah.
He sits up in the press box?
He comes up to the press box before the game.
Have you introduced yourself?
I don't think so. I wanted to once, but he just kept talking to somebody, which is fine. Usually Tim Grubbs.
Huh?
Usually talking with Tim Grubbs.
Well, go talk to Mitch.
I will next year. I'm sure he'll be up there.
You know, his brother Steve was a basketball player at Wichita State for a while, not a scrappy player.
Former Wichita State Shocker. I think he had a cup of coffee in the big leagues. P.J. Forbes.
P.J. Forbes out of Pittsburgh Colgan High School.
Well done. Pittsburgh would have been just fine.
I'll give you everything. I mean, this is right in my wheelhouse.
I know. That's why I did it. Trying to put it on a T4. I don't know if you'll know this one because it goes way, way back. But Claude Hendricks.
Claude Hendricks was a fantastic athlete at Wichita State, University of Wichita, back in the day. I believe he is out of Newton.
He is out of Olathe, Kansas.
That one got me.
Let's see where he went to high school.
It's not important.
Well, if he went to Newton High School.
He didn't go to Newton High School. Let's move on.
Well, now I'm kind of curious.
Next.
But I will go to the next one, and that would be, again, this guy probably spent no time in Kansas. But if you know it, it's impressive. If you don't, nothing against you. But Bob Horner.
Well, Bob Horner was born at Fort Riley, Junction City.
That's correct.
But he was born at Fort Riley and did not spend much time here.
Well, I'm glad that you knew that.
Father was in the Air Force, and Bob Horner was one of those kids. But he was born in Kansas.
He was. Ralph Houck.
Ralph Houck from the great city of Salina.
Oof.
Leavenworth.
Oof.
What?
He's not from either
Gene
of
Mock
those.
is Salina. Ralph Houck was born in Leavenworth.
He was born and went to high school for the Chesty Lions of Lawrence.
That's right. Doggone it. I knew it was an L.
You just got, Andy LaRoche.
Andy LaRoche is from southeast Kansas. Boy, I had it, and then I started thinking to myself.
And Adam. But Adam was not born in this town.
They are from the great community of Chanute.
Come on.
Parsons.
Where did they build the field?
Oh, Fort Scott.
Yes.
I should have known that.
You should have. What about my friend Pat Mears?
Salina.
Correct.
Sacred Heart High School.
What about Steve Rinko?
Steve Rinko is also from, well, oh, man. Went to KU. I don't know that he's from Lawrence. Steve Rinko.
Yes.
Is from, I'll say.
He went to a basketball powerhouse. Maybe
I'll
even
say Kansas City, but that's what entered my brain. I think he is a Wyandotte.
He is. He went to KC Wyandotte. What about Mike Torres?
Topeka.
Correct. This is tough to close out the baseball section.
Are we done?
No, this is just to close out baseball. Brad Ziegler.
Well, I don't have a clue. I have no idea. Hayes. I think it is in the northwestern part of the state.
It is not.
Where was he born?
He was born in Pratt.
I had no clue.
He went to high school in Odessa, Missouri, on his way to Missouri State University.
No clue.
In Springfield. Okay, to football. Another easy one to start. Terrence Newman.
Salina.
Easy. Very easy. This one also. Monty Beisel.
Well, Monty Beisel moved around a little bit, but he graduated from Douglas High School.
And was born in Douglas.
Right.
So he must not have moved around that much, or he was very
spent some time at Victoria High School.
What's the word?
Don't know. Just get on with the game.
Jeremy Tooman.
Jeremy Tooman is from Liberal, Kansas.
That's correct. Did you ever cover him?
Sure.
Or was he after you were high schools?
I don't remember, but I know who Jeremy Tooman was.
Went to the University of Michigan.
Sure he did.
Les Miller.
Well, slam dunk. Come on, Arkansas City.
Yeah, that's right.
Great football player.
These are all easy. I put them.
And great wrestler, Les Miller.
Another one I'm putting on a tee for you. Nolan Cromwell.
Ransom.
Where was he born?
Well, right around Ransom, Great Bend. Hayes.
No.
Salina.
Smith Center.
Well, I didn't know that.
You didn't?
First of all, how do you get born in Smith Center?
I don't know. There must have been a hospital there. But he did graduate from high school in Ransom. Gary Spaney.
Manhattan.
But where was he born?
Well, I don't know where he was born. He's a Manhattan kid. Manhattan High School, Kansas State. I presumed he was born in Manhattan.
He
If
was
not,
born. He
in
was
the
born
area.
4 hours and 40 minutes to the southeast of Manhattan.
Well, then he must have been born in Pittsburgh or Fort Scott or
Southwest.
Dodge City, Liberal, Garden City.
Satanta.
Huh?
Satanta.
No, he wasn't.
He was born in Satanta.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was. Believe it or not. Lynn Dickey. Where was he born?
Osawatomie.
No.
You should ask me where they went to school.
Well, I don't.
I don't know where they were born. Who cares?
Lynn Dickey was born in Paola.
You think if somebody asks you, Bob Lutz, they're going to say Winfield? Of course not.
Well, they should.
I'm not associated with Winfield. People who know me know what?
Derby.
I'm from Derby.
Okay, but you weren't born in Derby.
Even though I've spent the past 49 years of my life in Wichita.
Sure. 49.
49 years.
Oh, yeah, Derby. Okay. I was thinking of Winfield. John Zook.
John Zook's another Larned kid, but I don't know where he was born.
He was born in Garden City.
Fine. That's irrelevant to me.
What about our friend Ron Kramer?
Ron Kramer?
Yeah, he played in the NFL for a long time, I'm told.
I don't know where Ron Kramer was
He's from
born.
Girard.
You got any basketball
Yeah,
people?
a few. Do you know where Scott Hastings is from?
Independence.
Yeah. I bet you know where Wayne Simeon's from.
Well, he's from Leavenworth.
Yes, that's correct. What about Lionel Hollins?
Lionel Hollins?
Yeah.
He was born in Kansas.
He was.
Wichita.
Ark City.
No, he wasn't.
That's true.
Lionel Hollins has never heard of our Kansas City.
He might not have heard of it, but he was certainly born here. Oh, okay.
Keep it moving.
There's somebody
Keep the
who
game
looks
moving.
like Connor Frankamp on the front page of Basketball Reference, but it's Sean Marks. Willie Cauley-Stein.
Spearville.
Yes, and finally Scott Wedman.
Anthony.
Yeah,
or Harper.
Close enough. He was from Harper.
Well, Scott Wedman's from Harper County.
Yeah.
And I've always been proud to say that Scott Wedman, another of the great former Colorado Buffaloes, is from our area.
He went to high school in Denver.
Number 8 with the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, well,
which is where I remember him the most.
You don't remember him with the Kansas City Kings, right, in your own backyard?
I certainly do, but I was more in the Celtics. I was more into the Celtics.
He played in Kansas City Omaha Kings.
Scott Wedman would be a great guest to get on this show.
I'll see what I can do.
I'd love to talk to Scott Wedman. So make that happen.
All right.
He must be close to my age.
He's older than you somehow.
I don't think so.
71.
I don't think you're accurate on that.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, I don't think you're accurate.
It doesn't matter if I'm accurate. I am.
I don't trust the websites you frequent.
You don't trust basketballreference.com?
No, I don't trust anything that you... Yeah, he is older.
Believe it.
Wonder where he lives now.
He might have a 620
I know
phone
people.
number.
I know probably there are people listening to this show who don't like it when I go down memory lane. I know that. I understand it. And I even get the reasoning. But I think it needs to be heard.
It appears he lives in Parkville, Missouri.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
Post-playing career, he coached the Kansas City Knights of the ABA. In 2007, he was named the coach of the Great Falls Explorers. We don't have much about the recent life and times of Scott Wedman. He scored 1,251 points in his career at Colorado and was an All-Big 8 selection as a junior.
No.
KU Kentucky tonight in the nightcap of the Champions Classic. Got to get through Duke, Michigan State first, two teams you don't enjoy.
Why?
Well, I've heard you bag on Michigan State.
I did bag on Michigan State. I'm tired of Michigan State.
And then we get Kansas, Kentucky, scheduled to tip at 8:30. Always interested in watching the Jayhawks.
Sure.
Haven't really seen much of them yet. I haven't watched a second of any of their games. There hasn't been anything to draw me to them.
No, they've only played 2.
But tonight, I'll be drawn for as long as I can stay awake.
Kansas State handled South Dakota State, which only interested me really because South Dakota State is the Interest Bank Arena opponent.
And I didn't like that game from the get-go.
Wichita State.
That's not a good Interest game. And I'm not going to be that guy that's just rubber stamps everything Wichita State does.
Well, it's not a good Interest.
That's not an attractive matchup, and they'll not draw nearly what they should for that game.
Yeah, it's hopefully they rectify that in the future.
Got to play a big name opponent.
You got to try.
You got to do it. You don't just try. You pull it off.
You can only do what people agree to do.
You can find a name opponent, and they might be chomping at the bit out there right now, hearing me say that.
What if it's Michigan State?
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I'd like to see something like that. I don't know why it doesn't happen.
But South Dakota State doesn't cut the mustard, as we like to say.
No, they got hammered by the Cats. Pretty good.
We'll see. Now, I'm curious to see the Shockers in Myrtle Beach this week.
Of course.
There'll be some tests there. But Kansas, Kentucky tonight, you're always going to tune in for that one. We'll probably have who will we have on the call there?
Jay Billis.
And his partner, who's a baseball, Dan Shulman. They're good. Billis goes. Is Billis good?
He's fine.
Is he good?
He's arrogant. Not sure why.
Well, what's arrogant?
Well, he's a Duke guy. The other side of that bracket, by the way, is Charleston and Vermont, and St. Louis versus Wyoming.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that.
I have no idea. I mean,
St. Louis has a good team, a good program.
I mean, yeah, sometimes.
Under Travis
Vermont usually gets to the tournament.
Wyoming, Finis Dimbo, is he still there?
Theo Ratliff.
Greatest player in Wyoming history.
Probably Theo Ratliff.
Dimbo.
What about the greatest player in UNLV history?
That's a tough one.
Because it's got to come.
Grandmama.
Larry Johnson?
Yes.
You see there's a picture of Larry Johnson, John Starks, Allen Houston, Bernard King, all these old Knicks. It was beautiful. It was on Facebook. You should try to track it down.
The Knicks have a lot of attractive history.
And a lot of unattractive history.
I've got a picture at my house.
I know.
That has Dave Stallworth, Nate Bowman, Walt Frazier, Cassie Russell, and Dick Barnett. And if you want to talk about a picture that I cherish,
that's a good one.
That is one.
Who's the best player in the history of Florida State University?
You know, I don't know that I can off the top of my head give you a
Dave Cowens.
Yeah, that would be it. Dave Cowens.
Over George McLeod. Remember George McLeod?
Yeah, Dave Cowens.
Remember how much I loved George McLeod?
But I don't care how much you loved George.
But do you remember?
To even ask.
I'm just saying, do you remember how much I loved George McLeod?
Yes, but to even ask.
That's all that matters.
If he was a better player than Dave Cowens.
What about Bob Sura, Charlie Ward, Sam Cassell? They've had a lot of good NBA players.
It's Dave Cowens.
They've had a lot of good NBA players
Dave Cowens.
From Florida State.
In a slam dunk.
Patrick Williams. Scotty Barnes.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Scotty Barnes is a good player.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Malik Beasley.
And you're making me angry.
I don't like Malik Beasley. There you go.
Oklahoma.
Blake Griffin.
You got to be kidding me.
Oh, you think it's Wayman Tisdale?
Of course.
I guess.
Oklahoma State.
I don't know.
We go way
John Starks.
We go way back to a gentleman by the name of Bob Kurland.
He's their best.
He's the most decorated player. They were winning
He is?
national championships.
What about Tony Allen?
Jeff,
Desmond
you're
Marcus
a Lutz.
Smart?
You're a Lutz.
Marcus
I don't
Smart?
like it when you embarrass my family name.
What about Marcus Smart, though?
He's not Bob Kurland.
Who cares?
Why do you hate
let's
everything
just-
old?
Let's just be real. Who cares about Bob Kurland? Another guy not even listed on the Basketball Reference.
Oh, well, that's
he's so
boy.
old.
If he's not listed on Basketball Reference,
Well, they like to kind of keep track of history, and if he's beyond history, I don't
Bob
see it.
Kurland is one of the most decorated players in the history of basketball. And if you had any sense about you, you'd look before
What
you
is
spoke.
decorated?
Olympian. I mean, my gosh, what do you need
But
to
he
do?
was Oklahoma, not even state.
What do you need to do?
Play at Oklahoma State and
How
not
about,
Oklahoma A&M.
Go back to the old. How about the University of Cincinnati?
Well, I know who you think it's going to be.
That's a tough one. Tom Thacker would get some recognition.
Kenyon Martin would get some recognition. Nick
Ron
Van Exel.
Bonham.
Nick Van Exel would get some recognition.
What about the University of? Well, not University. Drake. Drake had a Final Four team, you'll recall. And my favorite all-time player from Drake is none other than Willie Wise.
That's your guy.
You
what
could
about
make
Lewis Lloyd? Wouldn't
you
he
could
be
make
the
a
guy?
case for Bob Nedelicki.
I won't. What Lewis Lloyd is their best player?
No, Willie Wise was a better player. This is where I wish I had Mike Kennedy involved.
We'll call him.
I know Mike would agree with me.
What about McCoy McLemore?
Good player, very good player. They were loaded in those years under Maury John.
He's their all-time most games played in the NBA.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. Drake had very good players.
Second is Lewis Lloyd. Can you name the only other player from Drake who played in 100 NBA games?
No.
Willie McCarter.
Loved Willie McCarter, too. So that era of Drake basketball was big time.
Okay.
They played at the old Barn Veterans Auditorium. Man, I am sounding old today.
You are.
But you know what? I'm going to be on the drive home, and I'll get 3 texts.
You will? From?
That's so good. What you said today, I learned so much.
No, I hope that doesn't happen.
You don't want to learn.
I learned plenty. Just want to learn.
You're not interested in the past.
That's not true at all.
Max is over there eating this up today.
Yeah, he loves it.
Max, 1 to 10, this show today.
9.3.
There you go.
You a Jeff Halliburton guy?
9.3. I love Jeff Halliburton, too.
Dennis Bell?
No, couldn't care less about him. All right, we've come to the end. We appreciate it. Thanks to our guest today, Chris Lamb, Wichita State volleyball coach, Denise Neal, food and restaurant writer for the Wichita Eagle.
How
We'll
about
see you
Oscar
all tomorrow.
Robertson
Take
from
care.
Cincinnati?